I love that. I love when they come in with the 80 because they're trying to out hustle the hustler, which we know that's not going to happen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Reseller's Journey. Here is your host, eBay Joey.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, eBay Joey. Today's guest I met at the Resellers basketball tournament in Las Vegas, and he was making it rain from the three-point line. He is a reseller who documents his journey via YouTube and has over 750 videos and counting. With 75,800 subscribers, he has a live show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time called Hustler Hacks Live, where he talks about store updates, power rankings, and latest sneaker pickups. On Instagram, he has over 28,000 followers. He goes by the name Hustler Hacks, but his parents call him Glenn. Welcome and thank you for being on the show.
Oh man, what an intro. Thanks, appreciate that. And yeah, good meeting you out there in Vegas. Got to play a little basketball, so that was also good.
Yeah, definitely cool, man. It was cool just to meet a bunch of resellers out there, face to face and have a good old time and then have some food afterwards. But yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks. Pretty pumped. I like the idea too. Doing the interview podcast version. So pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you, man. The goal for this is, similar to what you do, but just pit out content for the resellers community. And, I want to bring people that are successful, people that are just starting, people that are mid-level, been doing it for a while, but I want to give
For
both
sure.
sides of the story. If, for instance, if there's a topic where do you do returns, I want to bring someone that says I'm all about returns, and I want to bring someone that's I hate returns. And so I
Yeah.
think it's going to be good for the community. So yeah, once again, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the name Hustler Hacks?
When I first started on YouTube, my channel was Mad Cheap Kicks, is what I called it. And like Ken Hustleby he always gets on me for that. He's like, "Man, I'm glad you changed that stupid name. Like, there's no way that would have like, held on for years or keep building up your influence by having a name like that." And so when I quit, because I quit making YouTube videos, like I started and I was consistent for like a good 6 to 8 months, and then I quit because I was like, this is getting tough. I was working full time, and I was like, this is getting tough to like make consistent videos, and so I stopped, and then I came back like a year later, and I was like, I need to get refreshed. Like something's got to change. Like, I can't just like come back with the same name and the same type of videos. And I was like, I got to think of a name, and then started writing down different names and like what is my channel about? And I was like really thinking about it. Well, it's about hustling, finding stuff to resell, and then I also want to give like tips and hints and stuff. So I put them together, and I was like, Hustler Hacks, and then
Yeah.
it made sense. I was like, all right, we're gonna roll with that. It kind of has like the same, like seeing the whole H thing kind of made sense, and I just rolled with it, and it did way better.
Yeah, definitely. I know people can't see it because of the podcast, but you do really have a cool logo with the H and there's branding involved. So where are you based out of, Hustler Hacks?
So El Paso, Texas, just the tip of Texas.
That's right, Texas. Were you born and raised in El Paso?
Yes, sir. So born and raised, went to school here, elementary through high school, through college. Always stayed here.
Cool, cool. Yeah, earlier you talked about how you were working and then you said you want to make more videos. Are you doing the reselling full time?
So now I'm doing reselling full time, and this is my first like full time year. So last year I was still working with my family business part time. So I was working there about 20 to 25 hours per week, and then I would go source in the afternoons. Still have to edit videos and do that. But now since January, all full time reselling, and then now YouTube.
Yeah, how are you liking selling full time compared to, working?
Oh man, it's like a huge difference. It's a huge difference, of course, because like you I mean you don't get that petty, like the full, paycheck that comes in every month or every 2 weeks, however long you get
Hmm.
paid. But I didn't really notice that at all going through it. I only noticed the freedom part of it because having all time, all day, no one telling me, you have to be back by a certain time, you have to do meetings for this. It was totally different. And working with my family business wasn't bad, but I didn't have the freedom, that I have now to go and source at whatever time I feel like.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. The profession that I have, I deal with entrepreneurs like yourself that they're their own boss. They make their own
Hmm.
decisions. Can you talk about how that benefits you as far as I get to make my own decisions, I get to make my own schedule. I know that you talked about on your live show that you're also married. Can you talk about how being your own boss kind of helps all that come together?
Yeah, I mean, having the freedom for me and my wife to do whatever we want at whatever time helps because there's orders that come in. Maybe I feel like shipping them at night. I can ship them in the morning. I try to learn the stores in my area, like what are the better times to go, and trying to really learn like when do they restock, when do they not restock. Figuring that out, I wouldn't be able to figure that out fully if I was working part time because I was at work from this time to this time or that time, or I had a meeting that had, randomly showed up, took out my afternoon. Now I couldn't source during that time. So it helped me figure that out. And then with our schedule being open, my wife can come with me to go source, the weekends. Nike outlets is like our main thing that we do. So especially with the limits, like 10 per person, 10 per style, well, things that they do, she can come with me. Now we can double up every time we source. So that also helps and comes together, family wise.
Nice, nice. Does she do anything else with the business besides going with you and sourcing and helping you, do these double ups because Nike wants to put all these sanctions on you?
So she helps me shipping. If there's a lot to ship, she'll help me. But she's mostly helping me on like the Amazon FBA side, which I don't really cover a lot on my channel. But for Amazon FBA, there is some prep that comes with it, labeling, polybagging, if it's like a clothing item or an item that could get dirty. So she mostly helps with that. So I think for Q4 now coming up, if we want to go deep, into toys, November, December. She's gonna have a lot of work to do with that.
Well, that's cool, man, that you got some help, and I think it's also good for the relationship. Um, when you started Hustler Hacks, did you always have a business model, or was there like a set dollar amount, or maybe a set percentage that you wanted to accomplish when you decided to go full time?
Well, I definitely wanted to make more money reselling and on YouTube because with putting in time and effort into YouTube, now this is my first full-time year doing YouTube. So that also played a big difference because last time trying to juggle part-time, there was at one point I was doing like one video a week. Um, and I really noticed like my views going down, my subs just kind of staying the same. And I was like, with being full time, I have a lot more time now to focus into it. I wanted to make more money doing that. And since then, I've been able to, I doubled up my income from YouTube from ads. And then
Okay.
reselling wise, that I was at, no, that one I also improved. I got to really look at the numbers on that one, but I think YouTube really helped me a lot, at least the full time stuff.
Okay. Now, when it comes to reselling, your items on various platforms, is there like a goal you have with a percentage or maybe like a dollar amount, or is it just like I want to just double up whatever you buy?
Um, Percentage wise, I'm still sticking to my 40% ROI. Not a lot of the times I go over, and sometimes they get a little too greedy, and sometimes I'm like, man, should I have taken that offer or not? Like it was well over my 40%, but I'm like, I could probably squeeze a little bit more in there. And then sometimes they don't. counter offer, and then I could have gotten that sale before. But I like to do 40% ROI. As far as dollar amount goes, I was really trying to get to, what was I at? I think with the family business, I was roughly doing like 8 to 10,000, and then really depends on how the sales were. But really, my main goal, if we can stick with that, is like 12 to 15,000 profit per month throughout all the platforms. But now we're talking like, eBay with Goat and StockX, and um, YouTube, and then Amazon FBA, merch by Amazon. I still collect a check from that. So I'm just trying to collect as much money as I possibly can from multiple platforms instead of just sticking to one or really hoping that one will do good.
You talked about all these platforms. Which one of these platforms is your favorite and why?
Let's see, which is my favorite? I'll probably say Goat right now is my favorite just because not having to deal with returns, and it looks like money. I'm making a little bit more money doing that compared to eBay because they have fees, StockX because people are undercutting way more than any of the other platforms. So I would say Goat, and then Amazon would be second because of just how much volume you can make. I mean, it has nothing to do with a lot of the sneaker sales, but the volume in there and the amount of sales you can make is great. But then again, you also get a lot more returns with it. So I would say GOAT, number one.
Okay. Yeah, I like Goat myself, man. It seems like a lot of resellers on Instagram, they just talk about how the profit margins are there and how people pay, for the product compared to various platforms where you got to ship it and there's fees and you might get a return. So that's good to hear that Hustler Hacks really enjoys Goat. Now, you talked about earlier, you're born and raised from El Paso,
hmm
and you're reselling full time. What does the market look like in El Paso as far as competition goes, if there's any?
So competition, that's a good question too, because we do two things. I mean, there's two types of resellers that are going to be out here. Someone like Will, who you know as well, he's from El
Yeah.
Paso. But every reseller from El Paso I've met pretty much in person because I've either run across them while sourcing, or if they've contacted me through IG or YouTube or something, so we'd be able to meet. But then there's also the other side, which people that resell from Mexico that come over and they're picking up items, especially Ross, Burlington, Nike Outlet, and they sell it over there. They have a totally different market. They're selling like in person and kind of like a swap meet type of style. Sometimes they're going for similar items. Sometimes they're just going for other lower end Nike. But I think they're probably more to compete with than, let's say, someone that follows my channel like Will and so on. I think that's more of
Yeah.
a competition.
Yeah, definitely. And for the viewers that don't know about towns that are, following are very close to the Mexican border, I've been to El Paso, and my background is I used to deal with Lowe's, and these guys
Okay.
would come over and they would just fill up trailers full of appliances, toilets, whatever
hmm
that's needed. And so um, that's a bigger competition, like you said, than another reseller in the area that's doing what you're doing and coming and trying to find some stuff. Are
Yeah.
you a big fan of like selling on the local markets as far as OfferUp or various platforms where you meet in person?
I used to do a lot of Craigslist. Like, when I first started reselling, there was no like Go and StockX. It was really just like eBay, Craigslist, Amazon. And then Amazon, there was, all the rules that come with Amazon. So with eBay and Craigslist, those were like the ones, even Facebook Marketplace wasn't even around. I was really just like going deep into both of those. And Craigslist, I love cash deals, but it does get old when people are like, "Yeah, let me meet you at 5," and then it's 5, then it's like 5:10, 5:15, like, where is this dude? And then finally, like 5:20, show up, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, I know we said $100, but I brought 80. Like, is that cool?" And
Oh
I'm
man.
like so many types of like deals like that would happen, and so. No, I haven't really done any, I guess, local stuff since the other new platforms have come across and really built up.
Yeah, so what do you do in that situation when someone says, "Hey, they agree to the 100, but then they get there and they're trying to be slick." I mean, what do you do in the negotiation process, Hustler Hacks?
I love that. I love when they come in with the 80 because they're trying to out hustle the hustler, which we know that's not going to happen. So when they do that, this guy, I remember this one. It was Jordan 10s. This guy did this at Starbucks when we met up, and he's like, "Dude, I only brought 80." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'll see you. I'll see you. Let me know when you get the money." And he's like, "What do you mean? Like, you don't want to do the deal? Like, still got 80? Like, you're here, I'm here." And I'm like, "Nah, I did 100, so I'll sell it another time." And then like right when I was getting into the car, he's like, "All right, bro, let me. I could probably get someone to bring me the money, or I can see there's ATM or something." So he just like walks in to Starbucks, like if there's a random ATM there anyway. He already had the money, but he tried to get,
Yeah.
pull an extra 20. And he's like, "No, no, I got the 100."
Yeah, I mean, some people, man, it's just you even see that on Instagram where another reseller will post a story, "Hey, I got this instant message or this eBay message and
Oh
I'm a
yeah.
single mom and hey guys, what should I do?" But I think like you said, man, you have a price, you have a business and you have to stand firm to it.
Yeah,
So I
for
think I think
sure.
that's all I think that's awesome. Earlier you talked about, you're making more YouTube videos and you went from one video a week to now you post three videos a week and you're gaining more subscribers and the following just started to grow. Kind of take us through the process, Hustler Hacks, on how you generate the creativity of what kind of context you want to put out there for your viewers.
That's a pretty good question. I mean, when I first started, I was really just doing like, "Hey, I'm here in store. These are kind of stuff that I found." But those videos are like they were really short, and I didn't really talk about maybe some of the other processes on doing research. Then I started getting into like Ross finds of the week, where I just started to talk about like 10 different items, and then I would buy an item, at the very end, show the one that I bought, what I projected it to sell for if it sold, and I did that per week. And then, but doing only that video like every week it was not really growing the channel. And at the same time, I got kind of bored of doing them, because I would just take so many photos. I'd have to re-record like my voiceover on it, and it would take more time doing that. And then I was like, why can't I just do like a Ross finds of the week, but like in store version of me actually there finding things? I can talk about the research, and then I could still do a breakdown at the end of what I found to sell. So I was like, this year I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure I get, those two videos and a live video every week, for the full year. And so we're almost there. We're at September. And I've been sticking to that routine. So now it's like I have the camera. I used to be able to like, enjoy music and have my like, headphones on or something while I'm sourcing. And now for this whole last year, I cannot do that because I have to be on recording mode 24/7 every time I go to the stores.
Yeah, no, and it's also enjoyable, man, just to, hear your commentary over these finds and then you grab your phone. Now, when you go into the store, what kind of camera are you using, or sometimes do you use your phone to record? What's kind of like your process? Are you using those like tripods and holding it in your hand and then walk in the store?
So I have a Canon G7X, I think Mark II. I think they just came out with a Mark III. But it's a pretty good, vlogging style camera. I just kind of carry it in my hand. I have like a little, kind of like a little handheld thing. I can just, walk in. It doesn't look too overly done or too huge. So you just take that in. And I'm just going through like aisle by aisle and shoe by shoe, recording it, talking over it. Because people have asked me too, like, do you, re-record your audio over your stuff that you found in store and just stay quiet throughout the store? And I'm like, no, I can't do that, because and then I would have to re-record it and pretend that I'm back in the store, and I'm like doing double audio work. And I was like, why don't I just talk? I'm in the store. If I'm loud, I'm loud. if people are wondering what I'm doing, oh well, I just gotta go in, do my thing, and it's for the channel, for the content. It is what it is.
Yeah. Have you ever got like maybe, Ross loss prevention, or I know Burlington has their security service, but have you had anybody in the store that say, hey, you can't record here?
So Goodwill, I got kicked out. Nike Outlet, I got told to stop about 4 or 5 times, different cities.
Okay.
And then Ross, no one's ever told me anything, but I've had loss prevention guys like come across me like multiple times, like when it's like pretty obvious. They're like,
Yeah.
"How you doing today, sir?" And then, "How you doing today, sir? How you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, you just walked here." And then Burlington, actually Burlington haven't told me anything at all. And then either as Marshalls. So I think those are the only ones. I think thrifting and Nike Outlet.
So when you say they kicked you out, like you're not 86 from the Goodwill, are you?
Yeah, and that's the thing that they were. I was kind of surprised how mad they were at that Goodwill one. Maybe it was just the
Yeah.
workers that time. And it was like a regular worker telling a manager. You can even hear them like whispering, like, "Oh, I think that guy's recording, blah blah blah," and like you're gonna have to leave. We can't have you recording here, sir. You're gonna have to leave. And they were like pretty angry about it. I wasn't like gonna fight. I was like, you know what, whatever. I didn't find anything at this store anyway, so I gotta go. I left. Nike Outlet, I think it depends on the manager. I think this manager just thought he was like super. At least the 3 times they were like managers that just thought they could just use their power, and I don't know, they're just like, you can't
Yeah.
record in here. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, some people, man, it could be they're just having a bad day, or they're not doing big things in their life. Maybe I don't know. So when you're recording Hustler Hacks, how much how much footage do you get, and then how much with all the editing that you do, how much like so you go from recording to editing. What's your numbers as far as are you recording 5, 10, 15 minutes of content and then just kind of getting it down to a couple minutes?
So when I go through it, I don't really have, when I'm in the store, I don't have like a time limit of what it should be until I do all the edits. And I'm really trying to get the edits down to like anywhere between 10 to 13 minutes tops. And the reason why, because when I first started in the year, I had some videos at like 17, 18 minutes. And I know everyone has other things to do. Like you're out there sourcing, you got some stuff. And if there's like a 20-minute long video, like I know I wouldn't want to watch 20-minute long video. I think it's kind of pushing it. Like, podcasts are different because you're listening to it while you're driving, maybe you're sourcing, but to
Right.
like watch something, you could probably be like, man, like this is just taking so long. And if you're having multiple videos of those type per week, so what I did was I made sure that when I'm recording, I edit it down, like I don't hear any ums or like, so the price is 25, and so I had to like get the edits down where it just kind of like find after find after find, and the audio isn't like, boring throughout the whole thing. So I try to get it down 10, 12 minutes.
Awesome, awesome. Now, have you noticed that the viewer count for these videos that are longer compared to shorter, do you see like a big difference in the views?
Yeah, I think in the very beginning, at least the beginning of this year, the longer videos weren't really doing as great, or I think, because the funny thing with YouTube is like you can go through the back end, you can go through the video, and they will tell you or show you at what time point people dropped off your video and what time they stopped watching. So when I did that and looking through it, I'm like, yeah, this video is too long. I saw some people, like, if you go through it, there's about half people drop off at the breakdown point. So I had some
Wow.
people tell me, like, how come we don't just say which finds you bought? And I'm like, I do show what finds I bought. You have to watch at the very end. I do a breakdown of the ones that are in my hand, you know, there that I bought them. And some people don't make it that long. So
Wow.
it's, yeah.
Are most of your views coming from the United States, or do you have a following that's outside with global?
There is a following that's global, and people that are global are like from the UK and stuff, and they're like, we don't have Ross and we don't have Burlington. Like, so they like watching the video to see what there is, but at the same time, I think they also are like, they wish they had the stores. I think the one that they have is a TK Maxx in
Oh wow.
in UK. Yeah, TK Maxx. Um, so people
Hey,
can look that one up.
you might have to take a trip out there and film some TK Maxx
Oh
finds.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But most of them are from the US though.
Awesome, awesome. Now, are you a Mac or PC guy, and what kind of software are you using to edit your videos?
So I am a Mac guy, and I mostly became a Mac guy because of my graphic design background going to school. So getting a degree in that, it's like we had to use Macs. They were quicker using the software, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, those type of things. And then now I'm using Final Cut Pro to edit videos, and I started off small. Like I didn't know how to edit videos. I just started off with iMovie. Like I was doing it on my phone and then I switched to like iMovie for desktop like way later on, and then finally, Final Cut Pro is what I use now.
Okay, awesome. Now, with your channel, the Hustler Hacks, no, it's not. I mean, your channel is called Hustler Hacks.
Hmm.
I noticed that you have some segments called Out Hustle. How did that come to fruition?
Oh yeah, so Out Hustled was a cool idea that I just met Ken in Chicago, and he had picked me up. We went to go source in that area, and then afterwards, I called him one of the days, and I was like, "Why don't we try to do like like a mini series type of thing to where we go to multiple cities and see like how many things we can find?" Because we would both get DMs of people that are like, I can't find the stuff that you find. I don't see these, whatever shoes at Ross. Like, there's no way that can happen. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we go to them, go to their areas, invade their areas, and see how much things we can find? And then
Right.
he was all pumped, all for it. Um, and so we did. We went to so many of them, and we haven't gone anywhere. Probably, well, we are gonna go to another one next month, but we haven't gone anywhere. It's just been kind of like off and on for the Out Hustled recently. We've also noticed that going to different cities you're not really familiar with is a little bit tougher than being in your own area where you can do all your research and you notice when stores restock. Maybe you have a relationship with managers. I know some people do. I don't at Ross or Burlington. Nike Outlet, I can talk to them and stuff. They can let me know like, hey, we're gonna have a sale tomorrow. Small things like that. But I think doing that research and going through it helps you compared to like randomly dropping in a random city. Towards the end, we're like, man, this is getting difficult. And then we noticed that we got way better finds. Our sales were doing way better for our individual stores once we actually stayed in our areas and did the proper research, studying the stores.
Yeah. So with the Out Hustled, or maybe there's some listeners out there that, man, my area is dry. I can't find nothing. Always people beating me to the punch. Would you say that by you going to a different market, it increased your sales on all the platforms that you do, or it was maybe not even worth it, but it was a good risk to take?
It was a good, let's see, for the first ones, it was very good. Like we both came back, pretty good inventory to add on. Profit margins were there. I remember some jersey and sneaker finds, cleats, we did well. Atlanta one we did well when we picked up some hypervenoms, some phantoms that were high end cleats. We both came back with like 20 something pairs each. So there has been some really good ones. And then there's been decent ones that were like, we probably like barely made over, the amount we paid for flights and gas and all of that. I think the recent Dallas one, I think was the latest one that we had there that we filmed was like maybe we made like couple hundred each over that.
Oh
So
wow,
it's a hit
okay.
or miss. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what's out there. I think it's definitely worth trying. But for us, getting like laser focused in the business and me being my full time year and being my only, income is YouTube and reselling, I was like, I really have to step this up. And he was cool with like going back on not doing as many out hustled as we did before. But me and Ken talk every week, so we're trying to figure out for next year though. Now that I'm getting my first full-time year done, how we can get back into like meetups and workshops and more out hustled, every month, to get it down right. Because yeah, it did, kind of take its toll too.
Yeah, definitely. I think traveling, family, you still have your business to ship and to run, so you definitely want to be smart about that. Now there's a show that you do every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's called Hustler Hacks Live. How
hmm
did that come to play in part of your YouTube channel? What was the thought process behind that?
I think about like 2 years ago, I forgot who had told me like you gotta start doing some live shows, like people can actually talk to you or like connect with you. And that's the thing too, is that first making the channel, I didn't really know anybody. Like, I mean, talking to you, talking to Ken,
Yeah,
talking to like Soupies and other
yeah,
people, Ross Shallington, people that I've never talked to ever, because I would just make videos and go, working part time and then try to resell. I never really made connections with anybody until Ken kind of brought either other people that he talked to, and I was like, man, I really need to talk to people and like engage with people. And I started to do the live show, and it was totally different for me. Like talking live, you have no clue what's gonna come in the comments. You have things can go wrong, internet breaks down, and then maybe you can come up again, maybe you don't. Like random things can happen, and Ken came on, for the most part last year, and then coming into this year, I told him I just have to switch up the format because I want to do like a slideshow type of thing to where people can actually see what I'm talking about. Because for the longest time, it was like me and him talking, no one really knew, or like the screen would go haywire. Like it would go to him, then it would go to me, then it would go to like a listing if we were talking about the listing. And he's like, no, no, don't worry about it. Like I get it, where you're trying to get to and what you're trying to work with on the live shows. And it's been way better doing it this way, having like a slideshow thing when people can see what I'm actually talking about now and what I'm going to talk about next.
yeah, it's definitely key, man. And I appreciate you doing what you're doing for the community and also creating the community, because I've met some awesome people through the live chat. And you brought up a listener before, but he ended up being in the same city I was, and we ended up meeting and connecting
Nice.
and networking. And I think you can't look at every reseller as your competition, because
Yeah.
you're only competitors when you're selling the same item and the
Yeah.
same size. So it's good just to kind of branch out and be friendly. Now, you talked about during the live show, you don't know what people are going to say. You get these trolls, you get these haters, and you get some people that just genuinely just appreciate what you do. How
hmm
does Hustler Hacks deal with haters? Are people just not and saying positive things about what you're
Uh,
doing?
so the haters come with, as soon as you create a channel, haters will be there. As soon as you try to put yourself out there, haters will be there through IG or YouTube or anything like that. And for me, it was always like, they could say whatever they want, but if I'm happy with what I'm doing, like I really don't care, because I was kind of like, I'm making money, I have this freedom now, and if people are really hating on what they cannot get, what they cannot find, it sounds like more of like a personal problem. I was like, for me, even though I'm putting out more videos and more finds, it's like this is the best year I've had compared to any of the other years. Now being full time and sourcing more and having multiple platforms to sell on, like now is the time to do it. And so I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. And a lot of the comments that come in, I read them, I ignore them, and I just keep moving on, because I know the people that do support the channel and like the channel will be there and want to have that, conversation, kind of like what we're having too, and have that support. So those are the ones that I'm really worth spending the time and effort on.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's all about, encouraging one another and building. Now, do you get a lot of haters or via Instagram? Are they sending you like direct messages hating or just comments that are just not necessary?
No, I never get I never get DMs. I only get,
Uh,
people that want to hide behind their phones or their computer screen that maybe want to uh, probably post on other people's stuff. I've seen people send me comments from other people that have commented, but yet they block me so I can't see them. Petty stuff. And I'm like, I probably wouldn't spend all the time and effort to answer back anyway, because I'm just so in my zone of like I gotta get my next video out. That's like my main, concern, especially how much time and editing goes into it. It's just like keeping this train rolling.
yeah, definitely. So how many hours do you spend editing to put out a video with this amazing content that you do?
So a video that will be like 10 to 12 minutes could take me 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's
Right.
gotten a lot easier and really 30 minutes is not a lot of time. Because before not really knowing what I'm doing and getting into like a new software, it would take like 2 hours. Like Out Hustled would take so long, because there was like, especially the first one, we hit up like 30 stores in one day. And I'm like, this is gonna take forever on this footage and going through it. And I remember the first Out Hustled was like over 30 minutes long or something.
Wow.
And for one episode. And I was even surprised people were gonna watch this whole thing, but some people did, which I'm glad for that. But yeah, now I've gotten to the point, even some, if I can knock out in like 20, 25 minutes, then I can go on to sourcing or listing. I'm good.
Nice, nice. So, are you sourcing every day, or does Hustler Hacks take some time off to just enjoy?
Just enjoy life now that, especially, well, football season is on, but my team sucks, so I can't really can't really say that I'm gonna enjoy and watch football all day. But I do source every day, yeah. And the wife goes with me on the weekends, because that's mostly when Nike has the sales. But during the week, I'm on my own and I have my like my own little sourcing schedule.
Awesome, awesome. So, you're a YouTuber, you're an influencer, you've created the following, you've created the content. I believe you've given birth to a lot of people to make extra cash and some people to go full time. Now, what do you think is the reason for people on social media saying, hey, these YouTubers, they're killing the game. They're creating competition. I can't find nothing when I go to the stores. I can't make any money. They're just tanking everything. What would you say to those people?
That's also a good question. I'm gonna post this one on my IG pretty soon, and this is actually from Burlington. Now, if you actually go to Burlington and you look around, like all throughout their walls, and they have, little signs and sayings all across their wall. So this one says, from Burlington, miss a day and you will miss out. That's what
Mm,
their tagline literally says on their
mm.
wall. And I'm kind of like true to that. I'm like, man, if you're missing a day, you can't find stuff, that's going to be on you more than anything, more than me making my videos. Now, with the videos, are more resellers coming in? Probably. I mean, that's what I'm creating the videos for, to help other people. But if you also have to, change the way you source and the way you sell in your own business before and after any other social media. Now, I might have made the channel, but with how many IG accounts there are now, I don't have any control over that. Like some people can make new IGs every single day, and post their finds. That's totally up to them. It doesn't bother me because, like I said, I'm on my same thing. I have to control my area and my sourcing. And what I mean by changing your business, though, is that, you asked me questions from the beginning on, doing Craigslist and things like that. Like, that's what I was relying on. Now that we have Goat, StockX, and Mercari adding on to eBay and everything else, it's like, it's gotten better. Like, there's more customers that you could reach now. So I think for the people that are complaining and crying about stuff that there's more competition, there's also more platforms, and you can be selling more, if you're putting in the time and effort to also beat out the competition and to sell on multiple platforms.
Yeah, man. I think I think before, I mean, I just entered the reselling game in January and, found your channel and said, hey, let's give it a shot. And I think it was just easier back then from what I've been told, where people were like, man, I should just show up and fill up cartfuls and go to every store. But
Hmm.
just like everything in life, when it becomes popular or there's money to be made, people are gonna flood. You see that you see that in other industries. It's like competition is good, man, and that's what makes us better as resellers is just competing against each other.
Yeah,
So
I mean, well, I just want to throw in, I mean, competition is definitely everywhere as well. I mean, you have to compete, if you're trying to get a full-time job. I mean, no one's just going to give you a job just because you're you. I mean, you're probably going to compete. I remember our brother was trying to get a full-time job, graphic designer. He was competing. There was like 120 applicants. Like, competition is going to be everywhere, and especially in business. That's why we've seen Sears go out of business and some of these other ones that just they didn't change, which what I talked about before is just changing into new platforms, new opportunities that are out there. You're just gonna get left behind.
yeah, definitely, man. Now, what kind of advice can you give someone that is thinking about starting a YouTube channel, wants to create content, wants to be an influencer? What would you tell them, Hustler Hacks?
Man, I would say if your number one is your business, just focus on the business. But if you want to create something like this, you're gonna have to spend time and effort, and don't expect any immediate results from views, subscribers, or money. It is gonna take quite a bit of time, effort to really build it up. And I would say number one, being consistent. Try to do one video every 2 weeks, maybe even every week if possible. But I think one every 2 weeks is really, really good. Try to get, your time down on editing. Can you get quicker? How can you improve when on speaking or recording? And I think the main thing too is just making your first video is the toughest. I remember making mine. I didn't show my face. I didn't really want to talk. I just showed shoes, and that was it. I was like, man, I sound stupid. Like this is like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
But it takes time and effort and work just like anything else. And like you just have to try it, put yourself out there, and if it's not for you, then that's okay. Like maybe reselling is for you, maybe Amazon is for you, maybe there's so many other things. Maybe podcasting is for you. There's so many other opportunities.
Yeah, definitely well said. Where can people find you on social media?
So at Hustler Hacks on IG, and then Hustler Hacks on YouTube. And I think you can email me too, hustlerhacks1@gmail.com.
Yeah, great guys. I hope everybody got that. Last question. What kind of advice would you give yourself in the last 3 to 5 years, whether it be personal or even in reselling?
Advice, I would say, well, I really learned the value of the dollar by doing this. And when I first graduated, the first thing I did was buy a car. And I had like, what, almost 30 grand in student loans. And I had credit card loans. So if I could go back, I'd probably say 5 years ago, be like, don't be dumb, like buying stuff that you don't even need. Like, you should get the lowest of the lowest. Like, save up the money, put that money into the business, grow the business, make more money by putting in that money, instead of buying, something like a car that's gonna devalue over time, which it did. And student loans was my main goal of why I created the channel, was to help others that had debt that they couldn't get rid of, and student loans being the main one that I had. I was like, I really need to get this down, which I did, in 5 years instead of 10 years. And I think focusing on the main goals is really important. So I'd probably say that, like, just been a lot wiser and a lot better money wise.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Hustler Hacks on being on the show. Thank you to the audience for tuning in. You can find today's guest on Instagram at Hustler Hacks, and you can find me on Instagram at eBay Joey. Remember, never forget why you started.